If you were to meet Donald Trump for 10 minutes, what would you say?
If I were to meet Donald Trump for 10 minutes, I would tell him that my ancestors, my lineage in this country goes back way farther than Donald Trump and anyone from his family, and that I am an American, a proud American, that I am Muslim, and that I am unapologetically Muslim, and that I am not afraid of him. And he needs to understand that we as Muslims will stay living in the United States just like we've been living here for centuries, and we will be fighting back against any policies that he thinks he can propose or implement if he were to become the next president of the United States.
In your opinion, why do you think Muslims have stayed out of American politics?
I think there's a misconception that American Muslims have stayed out of politics based on there really isn't any research. Hasn't been much research about our community for many years. We're also a very diverse community. We're South Asian, we're Arab, we're converts, we're African American. So I think that in many parts of the country, Muslims have been part of the political process, including in places like Michigan and places like Illinois and even places like New York City. I think that over the past 15 years, some Muslims have retreated from the political process. They don't see people who represent their values, their principles. We're watching a lot of candidates actually stay as far away as possible from us. They don't want us to be associated with their campaigns. But I've also been an organizer for 15 years, so I know for a fact that Muslims are working on campaigns, including to incorporate Muslim holidays into the New York City public school calendar. And that happened, and we won, and that was Muslims who led that campaign. And the campaign to end unwarranted surveillance of Muslims in New York City is another campaign led by the Muslim community. So yes, there are some Muslims who've retreated from the process. They are apathetic, they are frustrated, but there are also many who are hopeful and continue to be part of the process.
Based on your experience, what are some ways Muslims can combat Islamophobia?
I think first and foremost, the way we combat Islamophobia is by being unapologetically Muslim. We have nothing to apologize as Muslims. We follow a beautiful faith. We are a powerful community. We are a beautiful community. So I think in order for us to combat Islamophobia, we can't be intimidated by those who want to intimidate us. And we have to work with other communities. We cannot continue to talk about justice for Muslims only because that's not the faith that we follow. And I think unity amongst the Muslim community. We are from every part of the world. We are of every race and national origin. And we are also different sects of Islam. So if we are to combat Islamophobia, we cannot do it fractured. We have to be together. We have to be united and pull the foundational principles of Islam to bring us together so that we could be one resilient, unified force against the evils of Islamophobia. There are many practical steps to combating Islamophobia, and that includes working with other communities and coalitions, working at part of other issues, immigration reform, criminal justice, and kind of showing up for other communities so that other communities show up for us. And it's also about reaching out. It's simply showing up. So if there's an event at another mosque, maybe that's not the mosque that's of your sect, or maybe they're South Asian and Arab. It's about taking initiative to show up to other places, to build relationships. Really, combating Islamophobia is very simple. It's about building one-on-one connections with people, whether it be within the Muslim community or outside the Muslim community. And I'm an organizer. That's what I do. I meet people. I listen to people's concerns, talk about potential solutions and how we can create campaigns or create opportunities to work together. Islamophobia is not just a theoretical conversation or some sort of ideological conversation. It's an actual opportunity for us to work on campaigns, to win campaigns, to stand up and defend our faith, to use the media. Using the media has been something, both social media and traditional media, to tell the true story of Islam, and that's going to include our principles and values, but also the work that we're doing, feeding the homeless, working on campaigns to reform the criminal justice system, immigration reform, working on behalf of detainees and immigration. Let people see what Islam is, not just words, but in action.
In your role, you have often worked with people who are formerly incarcerated or with Muslims in Muslim student associations. What message would you give them about ISIS?
I think oftentimes we hear that ISIS is recruiting young people and vulnerable people, formerly incarcerated individuals. And I think we need to focus on the root cause of why young people may be attracted to ISIS in the West. And because it requires mental health services, it requires alternative solutions, making sure that our young people have services and programs to attend. So we focus too much on the ISIS part, and we don't focus on building the resilience of our young people. We have to support our young people. Oftentimes we're telling our young people, don't engage in the political process, don't be activists. stay insular. And I think what our kids want from us is for us to encourage them to be unapologetically Muslim, to encourage them to be active on college campuses. And formerly incarcerated individuals require a lot of services. They need employment services, they need mental health services, and making sure that we're providing people with all the basic necessities that they need. And I guarantee you, none of those people would ever consider a group like ISIS, which has absolutely nothing to do with our faith. But we have to look at ISIS as a gang. It's the same type of gang intervention programs that we do right here in the United States, is the same type of mentality that we need to have when we're looking at groups like ISIS. It's really the same, but unfortunately in this country, we've made ISIS into something separate. So that means we're trying to find separate solutions, and the solutions aren't separate. It's about loving our young people. It's giving them the resources, the skills, and giving them the encouragement and the motivation to be strong people. ISIS doesn't recruit strong and resilient people. They are targeting the weakest of our community. So we need to make sure that we do not have any weak links in our community.
Thank you.